What's up, Knicks fans? Welcome to playoff edition of the Worldwide Knicks podcast. You are going to get a whole lot of optimism tonight because we are coming off of a Knicks win. You see Rafa over there, Knicks in 6. Love to see that. Knicks, started their playoff series last night against Cleveland. Guys, how we feeling right now?
Oh man, I've still not come down yet, Omar. Like had a real late one last night, as my text might have shown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get to bed till about 3:30 in the morning.
Still
Um,
hangover or no? Still
no,
drunk,
no,
maybe? No.
no, not too bad. Get right back on it for Tuesday night drinking. So, looking forward to that. But yeah, no, what a fantastic win! I was so ecstatic. I have calmed down a little bit from getting a little bit angry about some of the fan reactions, but I'm sure we'll get onto that at time.
Yeah. Rafa, man, how you feeling?
I am so happy I can write this down. This is
Oh,
me.
ooh.
This is me. Yeah, tips.
Yeah, we'll be
Damn it,
covering.
I'm happy.
For the
Damn it, I'm happy,
audio
man.
for the audio only listeners, Rafa
Oh
had
yeah.
three things up there. First was Knicks in 6. Second is Brunson is him, and third is in Tibbs we trust. So let's get into it, guys.
So
So
you audio listeners, you're missing out because we do stuff on
we do
camera. There you
video,
go.
right,
You're
right.
missing.
So let's get right into it, guys. So Knicks go into Cleveland, steal game one, 101-97 in just a muck fest, 90s style uh, game where the final was 101-97. Both teams shot atrociously from three, but the Knicks made the shots and made the plays they needed to make when they needed them and come out victorious 101-97. Steal game one in Cleveland. Game two, as Alex mentioned, is going to be on Tuesday. So, starting right off, guys, after this win, what was your overall reaction to the game?
I was really surprised at how kind of controlled the game was. I thought the game was going. Well, I think the whole series is going to be like a back and. I think I said last week that I don't expect any blowouts in this series. I think every game's going to just be a bit of a dogfight or whatever the right term is, and it's just going to be back and forward. It felt like the Knicks had a fair for a lot of the game. We're just kind of keeping them at arm's length, and then there was that point late on where it came back and the Cavs took the lead. And I can't say enough about the team, about how earlier in the season we had quite a few of those games where we let leads slip, and the game just kind of petered out and we lost the game. And just the fact of coming back from that, and for a young team just to kind of drag ourselves through that and get the win, it was just phenomenal. So impressed.
I was so surprised. There were two teams out there, and we looked like we belonged there in the playoffs.
Mhm.
Mm,
Calm, even with the rough plays we had. It wasn't a perfect game. Far from it. We had rough patches out there, but we looked like we belonged there. We're like we've already been there, winning. Well, that's a pressure game. Game one away from home. I think that's a pressure game for both teams right there. But that's the pressure of the Knicks. You need to take one away from home. And he did it, and there was a bit in that fourth quarter. We looked a little bit this might go south quickly, but we stay composed. We used our bench, which was a big part for me, and we stayed collected. We looked like we belonged. We discussed this during the game that the Cavs look way more nervous than the Knicks, and they're two young teams, so they could look both of them look nervous, but the Cavs look way more pressure than the Knicks. That's why I say we looked like we belong there.
you know, my most of my takeaways are about the Cavs for this game, to be honest, guys. The Knicks won a game in the manner of which they've won many games throughout the regular season, which is a lot of timely rebounding, a lot of timely defending, and the shots were ugly, but when we needed them the most, they went in. You think to that Josh Hart three, you think to a couple of timely shots from Julius in the first half, and of course Brunson just being magnificent later on. That's kind of the story of this next season. But for the Cavs, you've said it, Rafa. They look tight. They look nervous. Mitchell, of course, has playoff experience, and you can tell he's going to have to carry them on his back. And we talked a lot, both on the pod and offline, about the bench and how the Knicks have a bench advantage. Boy, was it evident yesterday. And Josh Hart was magnificent. We'll get to the player kind of analysis in a second here. But yeah, that to me was the big thing. And Bickerstaff, he kind of looked a little bit over his skis against Thibodeau. And I think Cleveland, they have reason to be concerned here because New York withstood an on-pouring of points from Mitchell. I think at 36, 38 points on not very efficient shooting, but he still got his. And, you got to wonder about these other guys. Karis LeVert, nowhere to be seen. Isaac Okoro couldn't make a shot. And, these are guys who are going to step up for the Cavs if they have any chance to do anything. So I think that was really my takeaway, was the fact that the Knicks bench was great, the Cavs bench was not, and the secondary stars for the Cavs looked tight. And even though like RJ had a rough shooting night, he still contributed in other ways with 6 assists. Garland had a real bad turnover night, and if you're Cleveland, you got to be a little bit concerned about the way your other two guys performed in this game. But
and most importantly, Omar, can you believe that we actually won the free throws?
Yeah,
in a game.
Huge.
How many times has that happened this season?
Not many.
Yeah, I mean they were 15 from 21.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that may only be 3 or 4 points difference, but that was huge.
Counts. Yeah, and that's the difference of winning and losing in the playoffs, right? You hit a few free throws, and then all of a sudden you're in a better spot. And the Knicks, I mean, they were in control of this game throughout most of it, up until one point where the Cavs had a 9-0 run to take a lead. But it was a great performance by the team in that sense. But again, not their greatest output offensively. So to be able to go through a lot of your key players struggling and still come out with the win, and you're on the road, is just a great thing. But I do want to ask this. Obviously, in a playoff series, coaches are going to make adjustments. So after game one, what do you guys see as the adjustments that we should be looking for from both the Knicks and the Cavs?
I think for the Knicks, I think it's just practice your shooting. Do you know? Especially certain players should be in there till midnight in the next couple of days. Getting their shots up. So, a lot of that can come down to nerves, and a lot of the excuses that were coming out from the Cavs were about how inexperienced their team was in playoff wise. But I think plenty of people jumped all over that and added up all the Knicks playoff experience, and it was much less. So, I think there was a bit of nerves from both teams. The atmosphere went up and down, but the atmosphere at times was excellent. And that's a tough place to play in that atmosphere. So there was a little bit of that. So I don't think there's any huge adjustments for the Knicks to make. Just be more confident, and now that we've got that game one under the belt, hopefully that should help relax players a little bit, and just keep going the way they're doing, because there's no it's not a complicated game that the Knicks played. It's a lot of it's just down to fight and heart and so just keep that going. I don't think there's anything hugely different that has to be made. So Cavs wise, I mean, there's plenty. I mean, you can see you sent out that link earlier, Omar, about how the Cavs fans are starting to panic a little bit already. I see some of the excuses that are coming out are ridiculous. They said, I love that one about how the Knicks can't play any better, so at least the Cavs know that. And you're like, well, Not really. You know, I don't think one player you could say that was the performance of the season or anything like that. You know, that was them playing at their
I mean,
apex.
you
So,
could say that for
like,
Josh Hart probably, but
possibly, yeah. I mean, he's
yeah.
had
I mean,
plenty of games like that this season. So,
we had
um,
we had one guy coming off the bench with double-digit points. It's not, and it wasn't Emmanuel Quickly. So
yeah,
there's that. Quickly gets more points. Grimes didn't hit hit
yeah,
a three. He hit 1 3, missed a couple of shots. So we will shoot better. We will have better opportunities out there. So it's dumb to say we didn't. We can play better. And Julius
Right.
Randle had 19 points on 7 of 20 shooting. That's not Julius Randle. That's injured Julius Randle, the villain. So it's ridiculous to say we can't be better. It's ridiculous to say the Cavs can't be better.
Right.
I mean, it's
yeah,
both teams can play. The game was fun, but if you look at it as a neutral, like, oh, what are these teams doing in the playoffs? Like missing all these shots, all these turnovers. It was not an elite playing game. There was a lot of defense. Tell you that. We can see that both teams played a good defense. And I mean, for the next in terms of adjustments, let me just get at this. Well, why change what worked in game one? Because I think our game plan worked, even though Donovan Mitchell had, you said it, 30 something points, 38 or 6 or whatever, 38 points. I mean, the rest of the team wasn't effective. They were, we, the second guy with most shots was Evan Mobley, and he was missing shots left, right, and center. So we kind of the guard play of the Cavs. We did an amazing job making that as much as possible of keeping the ball out of those two guards' hands and letting him force inside with shots from Evan Mobley, who's not the greatest shooter or finisher as well. So we did a tremendous job there, even though Mitchell could, if he goes off, he goes off. Josh Hart was throwing every arm available to him, and Donovan Mitchell was still making shots. So, to me, I said it. The Cavs, well, they need to share the ball. There was a point in the game they didn't even try. Maybe Donovan Mitchell felt that the guys around him were tight, like you said, Omar, but he needs to trust those players in order to win. It's the big adjustment they need to do, because you look at the guys from Cleveland, 3 of those played more than 40 minutes. Jared Allen, the center, played 42 minutes. Donovan Mitchell played 43. Garland played 43. They're playing on the other side guys who Julius Randle, the injured Julius Randle, had the most minutes. Load management. Tibbs laughs at that. 33 minutes. It was the most, but it's 33 minutes. It's the most minutes in the Knicks. 33 for Randall, 31 for Barrett, 29 for Brunson. Josh Hart played 32. So we had 3 guys with 30 plus. They had 3 with 40 plus. So that's an adjustment I think that the Cavs should make, because our bench being much better than theirs, comparing for all of the games. I think the Cavs need to, if they want to win this series, I think they need to adjust to that, because game 7 of 40 plus minutes, even if it goes to game 7, it takes a toll on the players.
Yeah, for sure.
And
with the Knicks, for me, guys, I think there was a lot of like sloppy transition play that we saw from the team, like bad pass from Randall, miscommunication from Brunson or RJ quickly, even, and I think they got to tighten that up. Obviously, you mentioned Alex shot making. The team was real bad from 3, and they need Quickly and Grimes and RJ and Julius to get more efficient in shooting from 3. And so you need to focus on that. But otherwise, I'm curious to see if they continue the same way of kind of trapping Mitchell, or they're just going to be content with him getting his, and just keying in on slowing down Garland and Mobley. So that should be kind of something to watch. For Cleveland, there's a lot that they need to do. Shetty Osman on Brunson was definitely a choice.
Poor
Not
guy, man.
not seeing Levert in there that often. Not Okoro was obviously very disappointing as well, and the way that Mobley was finishing inside. You might have to wonder if they kind of go away from Mobley because Hartenstein and Mitch kind of had him locked up, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. But yeah,
Mobley started fantastic. He had
yeah,
two great plays very early on, and then just seemed to vanish. That's one of the criticisms from him, from what I understand, that he just doesn't have that real kind of fight in him. He doesn't have that real aggressiveness, which every team needs in the playoffs. You need that kind of play. And I think some of his teammates are getting quite, frustrated with him in a way, because he just seems to go into his shell a little bit. Just not strong enough, not powerful enough. And
that's the thing, right? Like, he is dealing with Hartenstein, Randall, and Mitch, and Josh Hart as well. And he's just kind of getting bullied around there. So I think the Cavs, the last thing, emphasis should be on the rebounding, because that's honestly what lost them this game down the stretch. Timely offensive rebounds from Hartenstein, Randall, and Mitch, and Hart, and you then give the Knicks more opportunities, and we learned this all year, that the Knicks' best offense could be offensive rebounding. Being able to kind of get a quick open look off of an offensive rebound, and they're very good at it. And the Cavs have been a very bad defensive rebounding team, and it really showed in Game 1.
you got that
That
guy
that
Lamar
oh,
Stevens as well. Sorry, Rafa.
Mhm.
no,
I was expecting him to play, but
I was surprised he didn't get any run as well. Yeah, that surprised
yeah.
me.
yeah. Just gonna say that the Knicks, only two guys didn't have an offensive rebound. So that shows. It was RJ and Quickly. But all the rest they had offensive rebounds. Josh Hart had five, Mitchell Robinson had five, Hartenstein had two, and Randall had two, one humongous offensive rebound. I mean, good point of that Evan Mobley in the defense. It's look at it, because Jared Allen had 14 rebounds.
Mhm.
It's not bad. Evan Mobley had 11, but other than that, they didn't have much help. That's the problem that I think there exists, because Mobley and Allen are battling our centers and our power forwards and our guys around there, and their guards don't uh, rebound as well. Like, they don't have a Josh Hart to grab 10 rebounds. They
Right.
don't. Julius Randle had 10. Mitchell Robinson had 8. Hartenstein had 5. I mean, Obi Toppin had 4. Quickly had 3. 5 from Quentin Grimes plus 4 from RJ. I mean, the Cavs didn't have that. That's why we beat them 51-38 in rebounds. So it's if they have Jared Allen and Mobley, they should kill us on the boards. That's what people were saying. So, well, kind of not happening. I saw on Twitter a few Cavs fans going back and forth with ideas because of offensive rebounding. It's like there was a board that Isaiah Hartenstein offensive rebound that Isaiah Hartenstein gained. When Brunson took the shot, Mobley had Isaiah Hartenstein out of bounds. Like he got him out of bounds, boxing out, and none of the three guards around them could grab the Cavs could grab that rebound. I mean, Isaiah Mobley did a poor job here, but I saw that they saw the clip. It was Isaiah Hartenstein getting from out of bounds around Evan Mobley, around Garland and Mitchell, grabbing the offensive rebound. So there is more than just the big guys not grabbing the boards, because they lead the game in boards. It's the rest of the team helping out, and the Knicks did a really good job. And we usually do a good job on that, helping out on the defensive rebounds, while offensively it's Mitchell Robinson to grab all the rebounds. Defensively, we have a very team effort there, and that showed again. And there's another way where the Knicks are in advantage against the Cavs. It's that team play that we have a shortened rotation for half the year, so we know how to play with this shortened rotation. It's nothing new. The adjustments coming playoff times, well, there's no adjustments for us, so it's an advantage for you.
So let's jump into some player performance. So we're kind of gonna, each one of us has been assigned 3 players, and we're just kind of give our takeaway from each of those players. Obviously, we might disagree with one another, so you might see some interference. So let's start with Alex and start with our best player, Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, nice, easy one to start with. What can you say about him? Yeah, exactly. He's, I've said many times, and when we talked about the key to this, the kind of X factor, whatever, last time, I said I think his kind of experience and his kind of calm head and in these kind of pressure situations are just is so vital. And the fact he got into foul trouble early, which a couple of a bit silly kind of ridiculous calls, but he came back in the second half and just just kind of took the game to the Cavs, and was such a massive kind of calming influence when the Cavs did take the lead, and that's been the main difference this season, I think, is having somebody that can just calm everybody down and just take the game on, take the team on his back and just kind of lead the team home. So he was absolutely fantastic. I mean, you were talking about minutes earlier, Rafa. I think he was 29. So, but yeah, I mean, I really he ended up with the 3 personal fouls. He didn't get any more in the second half, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, I thought he was fantastic. So,
Nothing else you could really say about Brunson.
Yeah, man.
He was doing what he's been doing all year, just
so consistent,
taking control.
Yeah. It's just not one of those guys. He's so reliable, so consistent, and it's just fantastic.
John Macri for Knicks Film School had an interesting point on his post game yesterday about Brunson, where in the past we would play against teams and they'd have a superstar and they would just like make timely buckets, and we would always say, "Oh man, what if we had somebody like that?" Right? Well, now we do. It's Jalen Brunson, and he is, again, when the game looked like it was kind of slipping from our grasp. There's Brunson with just abusing, getting to a spot on Osman. Just hitting a mid-range jumper after mid-range jumper, getting to the basket at ease, and he really was it's everything you wanted him to be and more in this game. Let's go to, I guess, probably the most polarizing player on Knicks Twitter from the yesterday. Let's go to Rafa with RJ Barrett.
Well, let's forget all the controversy. He didn't have a perfect game.
Yeah.
He didn't have it. I don't think any Nick, or maybe apart from Brunson for getting the fouls, had a perfect game. Shooting wise, RJ Barrett didn't have a good night. He didn't. He made 2 shots, a hook shot or whatever, over Donovan Mitchell, and a 3. Who, in fact, it was a pretty good. The shot to hit, it was that one. He had a pretty good 3, stopping the momentum from the Cavs. After that, he shouldn't shoot an air ball, so he even did
balance. Yeah, balance.
Terrible. Oh my god. Shooting wise, he didn't. It was, again, he didn't have a good game. But we were talking, and I thought he had a pretty all else concerned. He had a pretty good game. It was he was reliable on defense. What? Sorry.
An impactful game.
Playmaking was there, which you love to see from him. Yeah.
Exactly. That's to me, that's the big takeaway from RJ Barrett during this game 1, is that first half when Brunson was in foul trouble, that entire first half, and Julius Randle was still that came out early, which was surprising. But in Tibbs we trust. He really, and especially with Emmanuel quickly having a rough night, because he didn't make a shot. He was turning the ball over, and it was RJ. The ball was in RJ's hands, and he made things happen. He made things moving the ball. He had 6 assists that game. He could have had more. I don't know how many hockey assists he could have had that game if this was a thing. So I think he made it happen, penetrating. He was going at will, penetrating at will there. Again, Okoro and Levert couldn't stop him. Garland couldn't do anything as well. Mitchell, they're not good defenders, at least Mitchell and Garland, not elite. So he was getting to his spot, not forcing the shot, which is good. I mean, the shots he missed, it's not well, your open shoot. It's okay, you missed it. Well, you saw that all night from everyone. But again, defensively, I think he was really impactful defensively, which was well the more surprising. He came out very aggressive on defense, making a statement. And that first half, I was looking to things again from the game. Um, they tried to play whoever offense on RJ Barrett,
Mm.
and that kind of failed. RJ was doing it, just setting his ground, setting his own, and the help defense was there. So that kind of failed, and so they went away from it. So RJ Barrett had, to me, a pretty good game. Obviously, only 7 points, which we want more from him. People are talking about, oh, he's we win by 4 and he is minus 13. Yeah, well, Mitchell Robinson was minus 15 and Julius Randle was minus 8. Who cares? We won game 1 of the playoffs. It's dude, please stop the narratives. We won game 1 away from home. It's a massive win. The team played a very gutsy performance. I think that's the big takeaway from this, even from the RJ game, is a gutsy performance. And those little things to me that people don't see it. They're prisoners of the moment. That turnover, that costly turnover, that air ball, but were not great or terrible. I let out a very audible. I let out a very audible. For fuck's sake, RJ! It's well, probably woke up the neighborhood. But yeah, but it was a good performance, and that first half where RJ was penetrating at will and disrupting the defense, that's what maybe forced in the second half. Okay, let's make Cedi Osman on Brunson instead of another guy, and leave RJ with Donovan Mitchell. He was with Donovan Mitchell a bit, but that ability to penetrate and to control in the first half made him play a little bit more safer, even with Brunson and Randall on the floor against RJ. So I don't think he had a terrible game. I don't think he had an amazing game, but he was effective.
I mean, the main thing is, let's clear it up right now. Anybody who, like, because a lot of people were in their instant reaction was they need to bench this guy, he's unplayable, like, but they're not looking at the playmaking, at the good defense they had. The shooting was bad. There's no, kind of sugarcoating it. 2 for 12, you don't want that. You want him to be able to shoot at better efficiency. Again, but you also want Quickly and Grimes to shoot at better efficiency. So you're hoping that he could kind of maybe find a little bit of more of a groove in throughout later in the series. But overall, I think he was okay. He wasn't great, but he also wasn't terrible like people are making him out to be. And if a couple of those threes or a couple of those shots go in, we're probably having a very different conversation about RJ today. If he was 5 for 12 instead of 2 for 12, we're probably, discussing this a little bit in a different text right now. Okay, let's go over to me. Let's do Julius Randle. So last week we didn't know if he was going to play, right? Everybody was like, oh, he might miss the first couple games, and then it came out later in the week that he was going to play. And, you look at the final stat line, you mentioned the plus minus, Rafa. We've talked earlier about his 7 for 20 performance, but it is very important to remember that he kept the team afloat in the first half when Brunson was in foul trouble. He hit a couple of real timely shots. I felt like his passing was pretty good. He made a couple of bad ones in transition, but overall, I think he was doing well in that regard. A lot of Cleveland fans are kind of up in arms about the whole little arm locking with Allen and Mitchell kind of getting in his face or whatever. But I thought, in my reaction to that was that, Randall kept his head. He was not as fired up as he has been throughout the regular season, especially later post All-Star break. And, it looks like he has his head on right for this series, and we're going to need that. And there's no discounting that offensive rebound he got to help seal it, to get the ball over to Grimes. was probably the biggest rebound in Julius Randle's career up until now. And I think we're probably on the precipice of looking at him in a different light if they win this series. Again, to mention Macri, something he said that if they win the series, it's very easy to say that he's a top 20 Knick of all time, and I don't think that's ridiculous, and he was excellent. I think he'll get his legs back a little bit better in game 2. He has a couple more days to rest now. And I think that we're obviously happy that Julius is back. He had a really impactful game, and I look for more of the same in the game 2. And he was really able to overpower Mobley in stretches. Mobley does a great defender. There's no doubting that, but Julius just raw strength kind of overpowered him, especially on the glass. So looking to see more of that.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of mind games with the injury, but he clearly wasn't 100% as well. You saw him on a couple of occasions just looking a little bit, kind of looking down at his ankle. There was one time I thought he had a little bit of a limp as well. I think that he was definitely there, and just from the fact of him being out for 17 days, that's obviously a negative. He's going to be a little bit rusty. So yeah. Whether there was mind games involved, I don't know, but I don't think the Cavs would have fallen for that. I think certainly leading up to the game, I think everybody pretty much knew he was going to play. So, but I was so impressed the way he came out. It seems to have been just a kind of regular thing with Randle that he comes out firing the first and second quarter, and then tails off in the second half. I don't know if that's how much effort he puts into the first half. He just kind of loses his legs a little bit, but I don't know. It seems to have been something that's going on all season, but I think sometimes he just gives so much in the first half that he just kind of burns himself out a little bit.
And important to note, guys, that's probably for the benefit of the team because they've kind of been relying on Brunson and sometimes quickly even to kind of really turn it on in the second half, and Brunson, especially in the fourth quarter. And so I think that it's kind of like a good balance there. You get Julius kind of hitting them with haymakers early on, and then kind of Brunson kind of closing them out in the fourth quarter, which has been working for them all year. No reason to believe that they'll stop doing that in this series. Let's move on though to Josh Hart. Alex.
Well, again, just like with Brunson, what else can you say? Nice and easy one again. Just there was times where I was just like, I could not believe how good this guy was. He was just absolutely everywhere. He was doing everything.
But what about the draft pick, Alex? What about the draft pick in Cam Reddish that we gave up for this guy?
Yeah, Cam Reddish, remember him? Yeah.
Never speak of him again, please. Done. We're never bringing him up again. It's over.
Oh, I saw him mentioned today. Actually, I saw him
of course.
Oh, Cam would have done at least better than RJ in this game. Oh, and I was just like, oh my god, right? Okay, but no, I mean I was a little bit. I mean, we'll go on to talk about Grimes in a moment, but I expected basically Grimes to be stuck to Mitchell the whole game. Hart seems to, taken on quite a big part of that defense as well. So, then there's the big 3-pointer, which was a real game turner as well.
What an iconic moment!
It was an ugly shot. I think the clock was kind of coming down a bit. Yeah. The defense was all over. There was nobody open really, and I think he just took his moment. And he has been shooting well from three all year. So, well, certainly since he came to the Knicks. So, yeah. But it's just going to be, one of those stories. I think a lot like 2 years ago with Derrick Rose. It was just that pivotal move. Mid-season that. It was just like a fantastic signing that just kicked the team on, and just from a kind of team bonding kind of way as well. He just seems to be such a likable guy that everybody gets on with. So just a perfect playoff player, as I think I described him yesterday. He's just like one of those guys that's got all hustle, gives you everything.
Draymond Green
It's
has a
just
term that there's 82 game players and there's 16 game players,
Yeah.
meaning 16 games to win you a championship in the playoffs. And Josh Hart's a 16 game player. He's the glue guy, the guy you want that's going to make those key plays in a playoff series.
Yeah.
it's funny how it's his first playoff game, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but when you know, you know.
Just his style of play,
Yeah.
his style of play, his style of play is exactly
Absolutely.
what you need
But
in the playoffs.
just to that shot he made, it's the most that play. We're down again against the Cavs. Like we're down in the first quarter. Throwing it up, I was like, oh my god, what's happening? And the ball went in, and it's like, okay, this guy can do whatever he wants as a Nick. I don't like it was an amazing basket, man. It's well,
Yeah, nothing left to
what
say.
else?
Offensive rebounding was great. He scored a bunch. The most unstoppable play in for the Knicks right now is probably Josh Hart coast to coast off a rebound. He just has that downhill speed. He just gets to the spot and can finish so well at the rim. And those are those kind of games, those moments. Yeah,
I see a bit of Jimmy Butler in them, the way he plays. Those coast to coast as well, just the way he's kind of quite shifty, kind of going to the basket as well.
guys, just imagine what the Garden is going to sound like in Game 3 or 4 if he does a couple of those, and they're pivotal for them to kind of take a lead in the game type thing. Let's go to Rafa next with do the big man combo, with Mitch and Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah, I think it's what I have to say. It's combines well up with the two of them because their job is to basically battle out the two big men from the Cavs,
Yep.
Mobley and Jared Allen. Just wear them down. Just be out there being a nuisance to them, and well, making life easier for our guards and even Julius Randle to work out the way they like to work out, like the Brunson and it's penetrate with the penetration and everything. Randle with the isolation and that, and then the amazing job they do to allow other guys to grab those defensive rebounds or offensive rebounds. I think it will be a lot of sacrifice involved, especially with Mitchell Robinson. And he likes to have his offense and like his cardio, but it's very, very important that they both are, him and Hartenstein, are focused on their jobs here. Hartenstein had an amazing offensive rebound as well late, a couple of them, I think. They both played tremendously well quietly. You don't see those blocks or anything else. I think Hartenstein blocked a shot there from Donovan Mitchell. But it was like the way they played it, will be so important to stopping those big men from coming out and helping out on defense on penetrations from Brunson or RJ or Randall or Quickly or whoever it is. So I think their game one they did it perfectly, even though they got out rebounded one-on-one. Let's just hope they continue in this trend and letting the other guys work. Normally, Josh Hart, we mentioned before, for example.
Yeah, you saw them just really kind of tighten up in the paint on those twin towers that Cleveland has, and I don't think you can say enough about how well both of these guys have played. Mitch and Hartenstein are really they've really kind of developed a really good 1-2 punch down low. And Mitch fumbled a couple of entry passes that could have been nice, easy dunks. Unfortunate, but that's something that's part of the Mitchell Robinson experience. He's gonna maybe mishandle a ball here and there, but overall, I don't have much negative to say about either of them. I think they both played really well, especially on the defensive end and on the offensive glass. Again, Hartenstein had a big tap out offensive rebound that was pivotal for the team down the stretch. All right.
Yep.
Go ahead, Alex.
No, I was just going to say I can't really add much more to that.
Yep.
I agree that the thing I'm quite impressed with Mitchell in the past is shown a bit of immaturity, that he
Mm.
seems to kind of want to be the main man, the kind of star player sort of thing. He wants the ball more and all that kind of stuff. But I've been impressed by as you said, the fact that they seem to be a good combo, and they seem to get on, and on the court. I don't know what they're like off court, but on court they seem to have a good chemistry. So yeah, just a kind of nice blend of styles. So yeah, been
I
impressed
would
with them.
I would love to see Hartenstein kind of show Mitch that little push shot that he's kind of perfected now. That 8 feet away, kind of a little push shot there. If Mitch could have that as a threat, I think that would make him a lot more interesting offensively. But maybe I'm asking for too much. But
Just seeing Robin Lopez on the bench for the Cavs. Remember that kind of hook shot he had
yeah, yeah.
to get for the Knicks? So even something like that.
Yeah, I mean the thing went in, but it was certainly a sight to behold. That's for sure. Not the most
Yeah.
elegant looking shot, but hey, if it goes in, it goes in, right?
Yeah.
So let's switch over to Obi Toppin. So Obi, I think, was really important in this game because they took out Randall pretty quickly early on, and
Yeah.
Obi gave them really good minutes, like wasn't a complete liability defensively, got out on a couple of breaks for some dunks. That one pass from Brunson that found him right under the basket from the other end was just incredible. But yeah, he provided them great minutes. And we're going to talk about Tibbs in a second, but I do want to credit Tibbs for sticking with him and letting him kind of stay out there for a little while, hit a three. He performed really well in his time, and he made the most of his minutes, was very impactful offensively, and again, not a complete liability defensively, which has happened with him in the past. And yeah, I think as Randall is still kind of recovering, you need that from Obi to be able to have success in this series. And especially with that Cavs bench unit, like we talked about, it's not great, and that gives him opportunity to kind of flourish. And he took the most of his opportunity. To me, did you guys see anything from Obi that stuck out to you?
Well, just on Tibbs, he did pick him out in the press conference as well. Made a note, which he doesn't always do. He doesn't normally
Right.
talk about Obi at all, which I thought was interesting to see. But yeah, no, I was impressed. Yeah, he's. Whereas I know we're going to talk about quickly in a moment, but he didn't seem nervous at all. He seemed confident and positive, and just doing Obi things. And yeah, I was really impressed with him.
I think he filled the role perfectly, like what we needed from him in that stretch. Again, especially with Brunson out as well. Because Brunson went out and Randall is out of the game, and you're looking at the rotation of Grimes quickly, um, RJ, Mitchell Robinson, and Obi Toppin in the playoffs for game one. Like what? What's happening? Has Tibbs lost his mind? What is happening here? And I think that first shot he took in that 3-pointer and that went in was massive. Like, okay, I took the first shot, it's in. I got it out of my system, and things started flowing with him. He started defensively. He is still a little bit rough. I think Alex, you mentioned at the beginning of the pod, like how Mobley started out hot because Zobi Toppin was in. So the two kind of relate. That Julius Randle, what Julius Randle uses to stop Mobley, Toppin can't. So it's a thing. But he did his job. I'm not here to criticize Obi Toppin. Is he had 9 points, but felt more points than the 9. He had a tremendous game, and we were able to rest Randall more because of Toppin playing so well. So
Yeah.
if
Yeah,
even
and
if not,
those are the type of minutes you want to see from Obi all series. Good, productive, 14 to 16 minutes. While he's out there. Let's go toss it back to Alex for Mr. Clutch himself with his late free throws, Quentin Grimes.
Mr. Untouchable. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, the game just didn't go the way I expected it to for Grimes. I expected him much more involved, and expected him defensively. All over Mitchell. Expected him to be taken. Well, I mean, he took 4 threes in the end, but I expected him to be a real kind of centerpiece of the offense. The idea being that I thought the Cavs would be defending Brunson and Randall to such an extent that I thought Brett Grimes might be wide open quite a lot, but the game just didn't go the way I thought. But he still had a big impact in the game. I think defensively in general he was excellent, and most importantly hit those free throws at the end, which I was so impressed by. His second-year player, first playoff game. And yeah, just the first one was a little bit shaky, but second one was straight through. So yeah, so impressed. I think those free throws was what I celebrated the most, apart from the Randall rebound. I think those free throws, I was like, screaming the house down.
Yeah, you obviously want him to be more involved, right? You want him to be able to take a few more shots, hit a few threes. But, hit the free throws overall. He was kind of quiet, He didn't really, we talked about Garland being kind of quiet for the Cavs earlier. But yeah, I think Grimes was kind of quiet to your point, Alex, quieter than I thought he would be. I thought he would get a few more looks, a few more opportunities to kind of get some blow-bys, get to the basket. But, it didn't happen. And, I'm curious to see if that changes at all in game 2.
I mean, he had a solid game defensively, and that's remember last week I said that Grimes probably was going to guard Donovan Mitchell more than what we saw this game, but he was very solid defensively. He was always a presence defensively, and that's where he took most of his energy to the defense, allowing other guys to function on offense. His shot wasn't really falling. He missed 3 shots, but those 2 of them, that sequence with him and Emmanuel quickly just missing back 3 short, 3 short, 3 short. Like, can you go hit the gym, please? A few weights. It was ridiculous. Having Mike Breen going 3 short, 3 short. Like defensively, he was tremendous. He did his job, and I think it's the main focus on Quentin Grimes this series is defense. You won't be. I don't think we were going to see him shoot with 20 points or 25 points. Right. It's not that quite a series.
Yeah, he's there to defend Mitchell, help defend Garland. That's going to be his primary task. And which is no easy task, to be clear.
Was his 1 3 not like a crazy bank shot as well? Was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Go figure.
Yeah, no.
He thought all the threes were coming in when he went to the bank. The bank is always open, as they say. So, let's close out with probably the worst performance of anybody. It's Emmanuel Quickley. It's been mentioned a couple times now. He didn't score any points. Missed every shot he took. Rebounding was okay. The defense was okay. Yeah.
No shots today.
They had some free throws, right? Yeah. He's got to be better. I mean, there's no way around it. This team, his second unit, is not as potent as it can be without Quickley scoring some baskets. And you're hoping that he rebounds in game 2, and is able to kind of take advantage again, because that Cavs second unit is just not very good. So you would hope that they would be able to kind of capitalize on that. But again, there's just something to be said about Cavs defense is really good. Their interior defense is good. Excellent, actually. And, he struggled with that. And you're hoping that he could kind of maybe find his groove. He had a few open looks, and they just weren't dropping, and that's the story of IQ, unfortunately. You ride the wave when he's hot, but when he's off, he's really off. And last night he was really off. So that's something you're hoping that can shift as this series goes on.
Yeah, I mean the most surprising thing to me is seemingly lack of confidence. He seemed to be very hesitant, just in his shell a wee bit, like which is just not him. Um, the, I mean, he only took two threes, 5 shots overall. I know he hit none of them, but that's he just didn't seem active at all.
Mhm.
He was 23 minutes, but I felt like I hardly saw him out there. Because usually he's all action and all over the court. But yeah, hopefully we've got away with one, and this is one stinker of the series, and the rest of the series he's going to be back to his usual self. So yeah, really surprised.
It's how much you know how IQ even he shoots a lot. He's a guy who shoots the ball when he's out there, and he didn't had it. And just like RJ in a way, and Quentin Grimes, okay, offensively we're not going. Let's just play our role on defense and just let Brunson and Julius Randle go at it. That's what happened. I mean, like you played 23 minutes, like you said. I mean, defensively, he was playing good defense, like usual. He had a couple of turnovers there, which hurt him in the first half. And to be fair, since Brunson barely played in the first half, it was normal that he was going to play more in the second half.
Mhm.
And so that's where we saw a little of quickly in the second half because he played more in the first one because Brunson wasn't available. So, and he wasn't as effective offensively as we are used to see him. Those shots weren't falling. He got to the line 2 times, I think. Yeah, he had 3 points. So even though he had a terrible game, well, he played good defense. He was a gutsy guy. There's a play going on Twitter, like he guarded 3 guys in the same play from the 3 point line quickly, just running around. That's Emmanuel quickly for you. Even if his shot isn't falling, he plays good defense, and it fits right into what Grimes did and what Josh Hart did as well. But he got a couple of points last night, but he was playing tremendous defense. Like they're all playing team defense and playing together, which is well, he had a good game from that direction.
All right. So let's go over to the bench. Let's talk a little bit about Tom Thibodeau. Tibbs had a really well coached game, guys. He did an excellent job. So I guess what was your reaction to what you saw from the coaching perspective from Thibodeau last night? Starting off with Alex.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was so solid. He had to change the game plan quite a bit with the Brunson foul trouble, Randall getting taken out early. There was lots of adjustments to be made, but I think general agreement is that he got them all right. He wasn't up against. Well, I mean, Bickerstaff is obviously much more less experienced than Tibbs, and I think in those situations, Tibbs won that battle quite easily. Some really kind of strange decisions from the other side, and as I've said to you guys loads of times, that even when Tibbs makes mistakes, if you actually look at all the other coaches in the league, they make mistakes too. There's so many decisions to be made through every NBA game, and you're not going to get them all right. But I think the key ones Tibbs got right in this one, and it really showed. So yeah, really happy for him. I think he played a big part in the win.
Yeah, it's think Tibbs. When we look at coaches, well, Tibbs won the game clearly. It's you can look at the players, but the way that the things worked around the rotations and everything, how he didn't feel the well, maybe because one had foul trouble, the other is still recovering from injury, but how he didn't overplay anyone, he let the bench hang around with the Cavs starters, and it worked. I think he outcoached the what's his name, the Cavs coach. I don't remember.
Bickerstaff.
I don't know it. Bickerstaff, yeah. He got outcoached by Tibbs. Tibbs bit at anything. He tried to adjust, but I don't think he tried to adjust the right things that Tibbs did. I mean, Tibbs then made the adjustments offensively. He made the adjustments defensively, and we played a tremendous defensive game. And the Cavs really had no answer other than Donovan Mitchell putting up tough shots and making those tough shots, some of them. So it was the only way they had to answer. If the Knicks were more effective, we talked about how the missing transition passes, silly passes, really, um, missing wide open shots. I mean, there were a few moments in that game that if we played a more effective game, we could have killed the game much earlier. Like we had always had a rough passes. That sequence that Randall missed the alley oop to Mitch, or Mitch missed the dunk, and they come the other way. We steal the ball, and Randall makes misses the pass, and they get easy points. That's 4 points we could have had there that killed momentum, that forced a timeout and everything. So we had a couple of moments that we could have killed that game. And Tibbs, big timeout. I think it was a great timeout. Beginning of the fourth quarter, 1 minute in, calls timeout immediately while we're still ahead. Remember, we talking that he should have called timeout earlier throughout the season. He should have called timeout before, but he did call the timeout at the exact moment we needed to hold that game together. So props to Tibbs. Tibbs, we trust, man.
Just sorry, Omar. Just one thing before you move on. Like you mentioned a lot today about the difference in the benches. Well, clearly, the Cavs moved all in with Mitchell. They went for their star players. They've gone for a top heavy team. With Tibbs, he has more options to look. It's a much deeper roster because we haven't gone that route yet. So from that side, it is a little when your star players, your starters aren't producing, like the Cavs had a few, then you look at your bench and you don't have that depth to kind of turn to and kind of go for other options. So I think from that side of things, it gives Tibbs a little bit of an easier job, that he's got more options to choose when things have to be adjusted.
I'm just gonna put it plainly, guys. Tom Thibodeau ran circles around JB Bickerstaff yesterday. This was just an exhibition. You know what kind of reminded me of? You know how you hear players tell stories about Kobe Bryant, when like the first time they played Kobe, and Kobe was just was just on another level, had like 100 moves to throw at them, and they didn't know what to do. That's what this feels like to me. Where Thibodeau was in such control. He threw in staggered lineups. He made the right adjustments. Like Mitchell was torching them in the first half, and in the second half, he made changes to the way they were covering him. Yeah, his scheme for the inside with Mobley and protecting the rim was effective. Hit Mobley finished only 4 for 13, like we talked about before. And Bickerstaff, like, he didn't really have an answer for what Thibodeau was doing when they went to Jalen Brunson ISOs and stuff. He's throwing Osman on them, even though he's getting beat every time. And meanwhile, Thibodeau was just kind of orchestrating everything, timely timeouts, like you mentioned, Rafa. And it was just a masterful game. The only thing I think, like, he probably, when he pulled RJ in the fourth, that he probably did it a couple possessions too late. But that's so minor. It's just like it's such a minor thing, and not even worth mentioning, even though I mentioned it. And I just can't say enough. We've, like, Knicks fans as a whole, we've collectively, given this guy the business on more than one occasion. But credit where it's due. He showed why he's such an experienced and highly thought of coach in this league. And I think that's a big matchup advantage that we have is the coaching. Something that not many people talked about. Everybody, of course, is going to focus on Mitchell and Brunson and Randall and Mobley and all that stuff. But the Thibodeau Bickerstaff situation, that's one where the Knicks have a big advantage, and I think it really helps them seal this game. And like you said, Rob, if a couple of those little mistakes don't happen in transition, we might be looking at a totally different game, than this close one that we had late in the fourth. So yeah, props to Tibbs. Great job coaching. Please continue doing the same stuff that you were doing in game one throughout the series. That would be very nice.
Basically.
Much appreciated. But while we're talking about Cleveland, let's kind of close out what we saw from Cleveland. I guess what stood out to you guys the most about the Cavs' performance against the Knicks in game one?
I was surprised in the inactivity of Garland. I was surprised how Mobley played. I was expecting a lot more from him. Mitchell gave what he's expected. Okoro struggled, but he can struggle shooting wise. That's nothing new. He's not there to be a shooter. He's there to be a defensive player first and foremost. So. I was surprised by the performance. They did seem to, be full of nerves, full of. I don't know if that's playing at home. Sometimes I think almost playing on the road is an advantage in the game one, just to kind of deal with that expectation and especially with the Knicks being such a good road team. I think I didn't actually mind playing on the road first two games. So, I was a little bit surprised at how I was expecting a lot more from Mobley, especially. So, again, it just seems to be that they're just getting overpowered at the moment. So, it'll be really interesting to see what I was going to say about the as well. We were talking about Tibbs about how underrated it is having that kind of experience at this time of the season in the playoffs and having that playoff kind of experience. But also, everybody's so obsessed with having these young coaches and coaches for this era, and can you kind of keep all these young guys happy and things. Well, this is the test now. The Cavs have got this young and experienced coach. Well, not young, but he's an inexperienced coach at that level. Is he going to make the adjustments for game two, and what's he going to do? So,
I think we talked about this. That what surprises me was how tight and how nervous the Cavs started the game. They never seemed to be in that game like stress free. Only Donovan Mitchell. I think that's why he tried to take over that game and his game to win and his game to lose. And if the game two, if the Knicks start out well, because the Knicks started out well, we're up 9-2 or something like that. So it was a strong start from us. If we start out strong again, that might shake the confidence of the Cavs again and just make Donovan Mitchell go solo, which to us I think is better if he goes solo, because their shot wasn't really falling. It was a plus as well, which made Donovan Mitchell go even more solo, that superstar mode. Let's say it like this. So he had MVP chance at the arena. So but yeah, the tightness, how nervous they were, kind of remind me of the Knicks versus the Hawks. Like we were the fourth seed, we were like under pressure to prove ourselves, and we completely fumbled. I'm not saying we're gonna win in 5 games. I said in 6, but it's right now it's only one game. The things shift tremendously in the playoffs. We know that, but right now we look like the more mature and ready team to for the playoffs, and that's to me kind of a shocker that they're not more level at this time.
I guess for me, guys, it was you knew that they'd be reliant on Mitchell. I didn't think they'd be this reliant on him, and like it was basically it reminded me kind of shades of like that run that Allen Iverson took the Sixers on, where he just was like, all right, I'm just gonna will this team to victory kind of thing. And that's kind of what it felt like, because like you guys said, have said throughout this podcast, Garland was largely he's one of the quietest 17 points you'll ever see in your life, with 5 turnovers and only 1 assist from a point guard who's a really high assist guy, which is really interesting. Mobley ineffective. Allen, the stat line looks good, 14 and 14, but it feels kind of empty as you're watching it. Another thing is, we talked about earlier, is that I knew their bench wasn't great, but man, like Karis LeVert, no show, Rubio, no show, Osman,
Play 5 minutes.
yeah,
Rubio
I
had
mean,
5 minutes, which
that's the
is
thing. It's
kind
like
of
you
ridiculous as
thought,
well.
you thought they could have, like you mentioned earlier, Alex, about not seeing Lamar Stevens. I thought we'd see him, and we didn't. And I also was pleasantly surprised that Okoro missed all of his shots, all of his threes, because I was just like thinking, man, they're gonna leave Okoro open in the corner. He's gonna go like 4 for 6. It's just gonna be annoying as hell. But that didn't happen. And so yeah, but really the reliance on Mitchell and just how poor their bench was, especially in comparison to the Knicks bench, was definitely something that stood out to me, and I'm curious to see how that's going to advance moving forward. And like we talked about Lamar Stevens, if they decide to throw him into this rotation, if things continue to go south for that second unit for the Cavs.
Danny Green as well. I didn't realize Danny
Hey,
Green
man,
was...
he's ready to go, hit some shots.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's still in the league.
Kill us, basically.
Talking about playoff experience. Well, he's pretty much he's got
the gold
got
standard of that, right?
Pretty good CV. Yeah. I also didn't realize that Luke Walton was on the bench for the Cavs.
Oh, I didn't know that either. So what you're saying is Knicks in 4 because he's on the bench.
Exactly.
Bickerstaff used to be on Fizdale's staff in Memphis. I don't know if you guys knew that.
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah, they mentioned it on the ESPN broadcast.
That explains it.
He's learned a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, he's learned a ton from Fizdale. So
he's gonna lose in 4 and smile about it.
Let's close this out, guys, before our game predictions for the rest of this next week of the series. Just kind of like a highlight and a low light in your eyes from game 1. So Alex, what you got?
Josh Hart's performance for me was my absolute highlight. I've been going on about it. I've been talking to my kids about it. They've got absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. I've just been.
Years later, Alex to his kids is gonna be like, "Remember that one time when Josh Hart went 17 and 10 in game 1 against the Cavs? What a moment!"
I think I've said
best shot since 1999.
Yeah.
There's a debate.
Absolute highlight for me. Fantastic. So, low light. As I said, I went off and one on Twitter. Quite a few people last night about criticizing own players when you've had such a fantastic win. Especially straight after the game. If you're gonna go in depth about a player's performance, at least wait until the next day when the dust settled, and you can talk about. You've got 2 days to digest the whole thing. So, I really wouldn't say any kind of real lowlights from the Knicks perspective. Obviously, there was a couple of bad shooting performances in there, but that happens. It's the famous Tibbs quote. I think that you don't have to shoot well to impact a game and to win a game. So, that's perfectly shown in that game. So, I was just I guess disappointed and quickly that was really my only thing, but. It happens, and as long as we're winning, and that's fine by me. So,
yeah, that's my low light as well. Just the shooting. To pick a low light of the game. Our shooting was terrible. Even Randall, it was 3 for 10 from 3, which is not good. Scarlett not good. We won game 1, so Scarlett just not good. But our shooting needs to be better. The highlight for me, it's the I said it. I think it's the most time I said it, the word gutsy. But it's the gutsy performance, the gutsy defense, the way we played against the Cavs, and we exactly like Alex said again. Tips said, well, you know how it goes. you don't need to shoot well to impact the game. That's what happened with quickly with the Grimes, with RJ, with Mitchell, with our Mitchell, with Hartenstein. They were all just there playing defense and making plays happen for the offense to work. So for me, that's the way we played. So gutsy, so defensive mindedly, and we were really fierce on defense, really physical. That's the highlight for me in this game.
Yeah, for me, the highlight was Julius Randle being back. That was, I mean, I would be honest, I was really skeptical about their chance to win the series if he missed a couple of games, and he was back. He played well, and he's going to be better in game 2. So that was my highlight. My low light is RJ
The minutes he
shooting.
was out.
RJ shooting, not just the fact that he missed a bunch of shots, but the reaction that Knicks fans have had to it. I just like, how are you going to try and just like talk about trading a player when you're in the middle of a playoff series and you're up 1-0 in the playoff series? Make it make sense. Like you're down 3-0 and you're going home, whatever. That's one thing, but like, come on, he had a bad game, whatever. Move on. You won the game. Just be better next time. So yeah, of course I want him to make shots, but I really didn't like the way that Knicks fans kind of took that. Well, Knicks fans on Twitter. I'm not gonna besmirch the names of good Knicks fans who aren't a part of Knicks Twitter. But yeah, that to me was kind of the low light
The lucky
star
few.
reaction. Like we're not even celebrating a win. We just want to say, "Oh man, this is what I've been telling you about RJ." Like, all right, guys, whatever.
That's what I kept saying last night. I kept saying, "Is that really the first thing you thought of
It's
after watching that game? Do you know? Is that
if
is that your first reaction? Is that your first thought?"
yeah, man, if we lost this game, like terribly lost the game or lost the game because of some plays he made or him or whatever player he made, like it's ridiculous to win game 1 and not celebrate the win, just celebrate your narrative,
Only Knicks
which
fans,
is
man.
which is faulty narrative, basically. Like
Yeah.
but whatever. I said fuck it. I'm celebrating the win. I don't care what you guys say about this or the other player. Just celebrate the win. It's the playoffs. I rather win with a guy I hate on the team. For some reason, I hate him. Than lose with the guys I love. I mean, it's
Yeah, of course.
please.
Winning cures all, guys. We know that it should cure all, but hopefully, we don't got to worry about those discussions for too much longer. Real quick though, after game 1, has your guys' prediction on this series changed at all?
Definitely not. No, I think it's hard to predict a scoreline on a series like this. Where the games are so tight and unpredictable. That I think I can just see this going back and forward all series and going to 6 or 7. So I'm still thinking the same thing, but with these tight games, one team can just sneak them, and it can end up the scoreline looks quite different. But I'm going to stick with the Knicks in 7.
Yeah, Rafa.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned a couple of times this episode, yeah, Knicks in 6. I said it last week. Knicks in 6, taking game 1 and then taking the games at home. I think it's important that we just now win games at home, and we're done. We're through to the next round.
Much improved form at MSG as well the last month or so. So
yeah. So I thought from the beginning this series was going 7 games. Game 1 only reaffirmed that to me. Having Julius back, I think, makes me feel better about the Knicks' chances to win in 7. I think that we haven't seen the best that the Cavs have to offer. We're gonna see a better Garland game. We're gonna be in for at least one really good Mobley game, I think. So yeah, but I think this is gonna be the most exciting series in the first round.
Oh, absolutely.
Right up there probably with Kings Warriors. That's probably another one.
That's from the East, sorry.
From the East
West,
by
there's
far, this is the most exciting first round series. Like
the
first
West has a couple of contenders there.
And
Yeah, for sure. The West is a lot more interesting than the East in the first round. That's for sure.
looking like next Miami in the semifinals as well. So
what a
that's
break that would be, right? If the Knicks advance and they get to play Miami instead of Milwaukee. Oh my God.
yeah, they're 10 points up towards the end of the third.
That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, it's just when you like, I thought like, oh yeah, Milwaukee in 4. It was like my thing, like because I had no faith in the
Yeah.
Heat. They just look so washed, but they just stick around. Fucking Heat.
They've got a good experience roster that
By the
Milwaukee
way,
do.
it's the something I forgot to ask during the pod. Like, how are you going into the playoffs and you buy out a guy like Kevin Love? How destructive would he have been for this series for us against us?
Hmm.
What? Why is he's going? Well, he had 3 threes against the Bucks right now. So if he had done this last night against the Knicks, we would be
For a
destroyed.
young team, you would imagine they would love to have that kind of a veteran presence, even if he doesn't get a lot
Yeah,
of burn. Just as like the guy who's been there, done that, and Cavs legend,
exactly.
and yeah, that's
Good
I
rebounder as
didn't really
well.
get that.
Good rebounder as well. So
Oh yeah, always been a
bit
great
of help from
rebounder.
that side of things. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
especially right.
just something I thought about because I was looking the game and watching the game. How did these guys? Why did these guys buy out Kevin Love?
It makes you wonder if there was
I
something
mean,
going on internally. Honestly, I don't know. Like I
it's
think he
weird.
had kind of fallen out of the rotation before he got bought out, and Kevin probably still feels like he can contribute to a championship team or a playoff team, which he is right now, like you guys mentioned for Miami. So, um, that's kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, it does kind of surprise you why Cleveland would have done that with such a young roster and inexperienced for the playoffs. Let's look ahead. 3 games this week: game 2, 3, and 4. So, game 2 in Cleveland on Tuesday, game 3 in New York on Friday, and game 4 at MSG on Sunday afternoon. So, what do you think we're looking at when we are here next week, guys? What's the series going to be?
um, I'm gonna be super positive. I'm happy. I loved what happened last night. I love what I saw. Yeah, there's going to be a reaction from the Cavs, but um, I'd love us to go next Sunday be 3-1.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's 3-1. Finishing the week, going 2-1. Obviously, going 2-1 during the week. Um, yeah. I mean, to me, it's a thing we need to take these both of these games at home.
Hmm.
We need to take care of it. We have to. We send a onslaught. They're going to bring on Tuesday because they will want to get game back, and especially that first game in New York, we're going to have to be on point because they will come out swinging again to regain home court advantage and swing the series. We need to be ready. We need to be already thinking for games at MSG to win them both.
Yeah, I think there is no way that the Cavs don't come out firing on all cylinders on Tuesday. They are, they had home courts taken away from them. They are gonna come out, motivated and all that. And it's imperative to take care of home court, and so I'm gonna agree with you guys, hoping that we're 3-1, this time next week. Take care of home court, just get business on the Garden. Um, but hey, if you could somehow steal game 2, that'd be awesome too. But I still think there's going to be a long series, so I fully expect to get a huge punch from Cleveland on Tuesday night, and see what they throw at us. But yeah, I think 3-1 by the time we record next week, which would be great because that would put us in the driver's seat to advance in this series. All right, so that is going to wrap us up this week for a playoff edition of Worldwide Knicks. As always, thank you for joining the podcast. If you like the podcast, follow us on Twitter at WW Knicks Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and turn on notifications, and also subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts if you are more of an audio listener. Until next time, we'll be Worldwide Knicks, Omar, Rafa, Alex, and we'll see you next week, hopefully with a bunch of Knick wins. And see you guys later.